Okay, if everything has gone according to plan, we should be live on YouTube. Hello everyone and welcome back to Weekends with Avrona. 2 weeks in a row, what a streak, I know. Anyway, a huge shout out by the way to everyone who joined into the last one. It was not only the 50th episode of this new kind of revival series after the almost a 10-year hiatus basically of the Weekends with Avrona name in general. If anyone still actually remembers the old Weekends with Avrona from, again, like I said, like 10 odd years ago, please do let me know. I highly doubt that, but I'm still curious. But anyway, yeah, it was also a really kind of successful one. Lots of you were kind of joining in. That was really fun. So today, it's probably not going to be as interesting. I know saying that right at the bat is probably not the best marketing. However, obviously the MacBook Neo was kind of just that big thing, right? Apple, of all people, coming out with a budget device, and one that, as I kind of shown in my video, that was a bit of a deeper dive into what you can actually get for the price when compared to the live stream, that your choices are kind of limited, right? Especially if you want something with a very new CPU, you can get something that pretty much does most of the things that a MacBook Neo does, but again, your options are very limited, and especially if you want something that's like of that same kind of, Apple quality or whatever, the kind of quality materials, then obviously it's going to be pretty difficult. But we did find a couple of Acer ones, and of course if you really want to, then you can kind of basically cheat and go for a second-hand or used laptop as well. But anyway, obviously the big story is that there's been a lot going on with Xbox recently. So obviously the whole kind of leadership, Phil Spencer and I believe Sarah Bond was the name of the president, they both left, and all of a sudden there is a big new just whole press release on information about the next generation Xbox, that they kind of went, oh, okay, I guess people don't really trust that Xbox will even be a thing soon, so I guess I have to remind people that we are in fact working on a next generation one. So this is it right here. It is called Project Helix, and again, I think just the timing of all of it is pretty interesting. The fact that we had these kind of two big departures right before GDC as well, and the fact that after these departures, and kind of all of the kind of rumors and kind of speculation about where Xbox is even heading, that they came out with this pretty, do I want to say it's pretty early? I don't know. Like, I still can't believe we are even talking about next gen. It feels like the current gen came out like yesterday. And even after all these years, I still have absolutely no interest in the current gen consoles. Like, I have no game in the console game right now. I bought a Switch 2 just to basically review it, and I haven't touched it since. And I pretty much have no interest in buying any kind of Xbox or PlayStation now, because unless there's some like big exclusive game I really need to play, then like nothing. And even then, it wouldn't be really a healthy relationship. I think we can all agree that exclusive games are really anti-consumer. And sure, people always make the argument that they're kind of a necessary evil, because they are what kind of make the console business sustainable and allow people to buy consoles at a reasonable price versus buying hardware, like PC hardware. But that is still a bad thing, right? And we've been seeing movements. Xbox have been great in that when it comes to just basically having all of the stuff released on PC as well, and bringing a lot of the stuff to PlayStation. People are saying, oh, everything becoming multi-platform now is like the end of Xbox. No, like Xbox Game Studios is still gonna obviously exist, and if Xbox themselves produce a good piece of hardware, a good console that beats out what the PlayStation can offer in terms of hardware, in terms of performance, in terms of user experience, and it's still going to continue going on. What we are getting here is just a much better user experience for everyone, because you can just play your favorite games wherever. So that's kind of great. And PlayStation, on the other hand, has been kind of walking back. They've released some games on PC, and now they're saying that they won't anymore. I don't know, it's weird. And I don't know where PlayStation stands on that exactly, because again, I haven't really been following too much when it goes to PlayStation, because again, I don't really care. I'm the only consoles I play are the PS2 and the GameCube. Like, those are the only things I've been playing recently. Sometimes a bit of my old Xbox 360, and that's it, right? I have an Xbox One S, I have a Nintendo Switch, I have a Nintendo Switch 2, but like I don't use them. But anyway, back to what this is right here in Project Helix. the next generation Xbox, and again, I can't believe we're actually talking about the next generation already. They are still sticking with AMD because, I mean, AMD have been on such a good streak when it comes to consoles right now, and they have such a good partnership that obviously they're sticking with them. And also, I'll talk about it a bit later, but they're also working on some new stuff with AMD both on the hardware level but also the software level with FSR Next. So that's a brand new version of FSR coming. Obviously, we kind of all knew that FSR will be a lot more heavily integrated into next-gen consoles, given how it's just basically cheating your way into having extra performance. And I mean, it works, especially if the upscaling is barely noticeable. It can work. And in terms of resolutions on the consoles, I mean, you really don't have to worry about making anything suitable for 8K TVs. You know, consoles during that kind of early days of 4K transition were in a very weird spot because they had nowhere near the hardware for running 4K while people were switching to 4K TVs. Now 4K TVs are the default. You can get a 4K TV, even a very basic one, for dirt cheap, and consoles are finally at a point where like they are getting there where they can have the performance to run at 4K pretty decently, and they don't have to worry about 8K because like no one's buying 8K TVs, and companies are even not manufacturing 8K TVs anymore because it's just there's no market for it. So that's one of the things that's making the next generation of Xbox kind of interesting. This whole FSR Next thing. It's also called FSR Diamond, but again, that'll be in a different section of the show. The other main thing is it'll basically play your Xbox games, but also all of your PC games. And I'm not just talking like select games. Basically, you can just sign into your like Steam account or like Epic Game Store account, like a GOG account, and you can just play your library of games from that. And that's pretty cool, right? Especially if your system is kind of getting on years and you can't play the latest stuff at a kind of settings you want, and you don't have the money for a new one, especially given when the market is right now. Though to be fair, this thing isn't probably going to be cheap either. Or if you just like want to play some like a multiplayer game, and you can either switch between like couch co-op, which obviously where the console always has the advantage, or you want to switch between like online co-op, which is usually where you'll be playing on your PC. You can do that, and again, you don't have to re-buy games. You just have a single library for everything. That is also pretty cool. And then the other big thing that I kind of mentioned, and it's also very interesting, is this right here. Next generation of DirectX. So I guess we're getting DirectX 13. So that's something, basically just sneaking it in. Okay, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's like DirectX 12 Ultimate Plus or some other dumb name. But it's, I don't know, we're at a point where we're probably going to be getting a DirectX 13. They haven't really mentioned much else, so maybe it isn't like a big next generation update. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while since we had like a next big iteration. There has been a couple of technologies, and the thing about DirectX 12 is they've just been like sprinkling additional stuff into it across the years. So obviously, you know, DirectX 12 Ultimate, DXR, so like all the ray tracing support for DirectX, also just direct storage, which for like faster loading times essentially. So they've been just sprinkling that in, which is why no one has been really saying, oh, where's DirectX 13? But now we're at a point where maybe it makes sense to them. I don't know. If it was like a big new thing, like if it was completely like groundbreaking, revolutionary, like completely devs start over, you need this stuff kind of thing, they were probably making a bit of a bigger fuss about at GDC. Just the fact that it's just this one sentence makes you think that DirectX 13 or whatever this is going to end up being isn't going to be as big. But at the same time, they have been probably showing it behind closed doors to developers at GDC and kind of basically explaining what they're doing with this brand new DirectX. And they probably showed off Project Helix as well to developers behind the scenes, just to kind of get them excited and show them what is coming and what kind of new stuff they are able to do. In terms of what else it will do, I mean, it's pretty much the obvious, like ray tracing performance, like that's again a big thing. because there's always room for improvement in ray tracing performance. There's still a big hit to that, especially on consoles, of course. So that is actually something that is going to be worth it, as long as developers continue to actually implement. Like, the thing with ray tracing is that it's like, people don't make as much of a fuss about it. Like, I mean, developers don't make as much of a fuss about it. Some companies are actually going backwards. Like, one example I always kind of go back to is with Battlefield. I mean, when Battlefield 5 launched, there's like one of the big launch titles for RTX, right, for ray tracing. And now with Battlefield 6, you don't even have ray tracing anymore. So that's kind of, yeah, I hope that more developers are doing it. And now that we are seeing also ray tracing, easier ray tracing implementations appear in more in more game engines, hopefully we could also just see that. But again, I'm just saying that, like, hopefully for the people who actually play on console. Because for me, unless the Xbox does something completely revolutionary, it's like, I need that. Like, I don't know, bring the Kinect back. Yeah, if it brings like Kinect, I'll probably buy it. Just something to make it innovative and something to make it stand out and something to make it worth the price, because this thing is probably going to be worth a lot. Like, it's going to cost a lot. And for like some of the like guesses and leaks and stuff you have been saying online, like, yeah, it's probably going to be the most expensive generation yet. Though, to be fair, it's still probably going to be quite a while. I think I've seen somewhere it's probably like nowhere near ready. It's probably going to be 2027 at the earliest. So by then, yeah, it says right here, ship alpha versions of the hardware to developers beginning in 2027. So probably 2028, which is when we're going to be seeing it. Maybe things will kind of like work themselves out. Maybe there'll be world peace and there'll be a rainbow and prices will go back to normal for the most important parts, and the AI bubble is going to burst, freeing up all of the memory chips and AI and fab capacity for stuff that isn't AI. Fingers crossed. We still have like two years. Well, apart from performance, and apart from the performance, which is what you usually expect from a console every single generation, obviously the PC library integration is like the big feature. Like, I'm wondering, is there gonna be anything else? Like, guys, let me know what you think they could even do to further innovate, or to make it stand out, or make people realize that, yeah, like, there is still a place for Xbox in the industry, because they've been very much the sick man of the console industry for the past couple of years. There is a lot riding on Project Helix. I don't need to be the one telling you that. You know, you read all of the news stories and all the coverage. You know how bad it is. There's a lot of riding on this. So I wonder, like, what else could they do to make it innovative enough, like, just generally to make you want to buy it? I still think they should actually either bring back the Kinect or have some kind of VR integration that you can play VR games off of it. I mean, they taking some steps towards it, obviously, with that collaboration with Meta for the Quest 3S, like, Xbox edition. I don't think making a specific hardware locked device for it, a la the PSVR, is the right way. And I think it's also just very un-Microsofty. Like, they are generally trying to be a lot more open than Sony, so they are probably going to just make it that, again, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. You can just plug in, like, wirelessly connect or whatever, any kind of VR headset you have into your Project Helix Xbox and just play games that way. That would be like a huge selling point, right? Instead of having to rely on a PC, like, imagine just being able to play like Half-Life Alyx off of your Xbox. That would be awesome. And like using any VR headset you already have or can buy for cheap. You don't have to buy one specifically just for the Xbox, and like just for the Xbox, you can just grab your Quest 3 or whatever you have, and it's just going to work, and you can play Half-Life Alyx, you can play any other PC, or in this case console accelerated games. But that's like the other thing. The industry is also moving away from these PC accelerated VR games. That's another thing I've complained a lot about, how Meta has kind of ruined it with how successful the Quest 2 and Quest 3 were. Because they are, feature really impressive internal compute, hardware for internal compute that you don't really need a PC. And a lot of people are kind of confused with the branding between, the Oculus and the Rift branding and the Quest branding, and the fact you can in fact play games on your PC via your your Quest 2 or Quest 3. Oh, sorry, bumped the mic there. And they'll look better if you can get it. Something like, obviously, the Beat Saber, even between just playing it via PC and playing it standalone, is going to look better. Games are getting downgraded visually just to make them work on integrated hardware, which I find extremely annoying. Like, I have a decent, powerful PC there. Let me use that to actually render the games I'm playing on my Quest, please and thank you. I've done videos about it before. I find it extremely annoying that is the direction the VR industry is taking, but oh well. Anyway, let's get back to the other key thing that is going on with this whole story, and that is the announcement of the next generation of FSR Diamond, because AMD has given up on having a good naming scheme for the FSR. So it started off with FSR Redstone, but that wasn't like a next generation thing as much as, you know, like FSR 3, FSR 4. So that kind of made sense, but now they're just calling it FSR Diamond. And it's unclear if this is going to be exclusive to the Xbox. I highly doubt it, or if it's going to be seeing on next generation hardware, on like AMD graphics cards. If so, like, again, why call it something dumb like FSR Diamond? Just continue the numbering, please. But whatever. It is, they're continuing the collaboration. They're making FSR. They're following in a lot of the footsteps that Sony has already kind of went with the PS5 Pro, and how much they're kind of focusing on upscaling for that, and I love the kind of work that AMD and Sony have been doing in that area. So they're just doing the same with AMD right here. Again, I just wanted to point out how annoying the naming scheme is. It is going to feature both upgrades in both actual upscaling, but also things like ray reconstruction and some of the other stuff we've been seeing so far on some of the latest versions of DLSS. Basically, they're making a way over here as well to AMD, to just your Project Helix console. Yeah, so far from what I know, I mean, there's nothing here that makes me like I have to buy an Xbox. But to be fair, I don't know what PlayStation, what Nintendo, like, you know, what Sony, what Nintendo, or what Microsoft will have to do to convince me to even buy a console now in the first place. Like, what kind of huge, insane stuff they have to do. Again, something like the Kinect would be really fun. Something to make it stand out. Something to just make it more than just a kneecapped x86 PC in a slightly different form factor. That's what I'm after. Even just like some really good games to make it worth it bother. But even then again, like, do I want to support console exclusive games? Like, do I want to buy into that? Do I want to support it at very anti-consumer practice in an industry that has kind of been starting to outgrow exclusives? I don't know. It's a complicated question, and obviously a lot of it is still in the air. Probably Xbox themselves don't have a lot of this kind of setup like thought out, anything. It's still probably going to be a while, and a lot can change, and a lot of new stuff can come in. But like, yeah, I'm just not mega excited. For me, it's just mind-blowing that we are getting news about the next generation, because time is flying by very quickly. But anyway, I think that's going to be wrapping up this weekend with Avrona. Like I said, probably not as interesting as the other one, where we're just kind of like trying to find laptops to match the price of the MacBook Neo. But again, it wasn't as interesting of a week. This is probably the most interesting stuff that happened. But as always, I'm trying to kind of mix it up. Hopefully, we'll have like some other stuff. I want to do a couple of more like unboxings or like live projects, kind of similar to the one keyboard build I did a while back. Stuff like that in general has always been a lot of fun, and I kind of want to continue doing that as well. But anyway, that is about it. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream. If you did, then remember to subscribe, like, whatever. And I'll see you all whenever I make next. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.